guys, so Brendan just drove this vehicle that we bought sight unseen off of TFL bids all the way across country, but we're out here at German Auto today and we're about to find out whether this thing is pretty cool or a complete lemon. What are you thinking, Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a few issues here and there for sure. It's definitely leaking a lot of oil. As you guys saw, I had to top up on our trip back. Yeah. The tires on it are pretty old, but it does run pretty good. Oh, and occasionally it doesn't like to start. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good, right?
So we're going to talk to master mechanic Toby and find out just how we did. All right, everybody, so we're back here at German Auto with the Trans Am and, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Toby. He looks like he's in a good mood today, so we're ready to get roasted on this Trans Am. But dude, what do you think of these 4th gen Camaros and Trans Ams? You like them?
Overall, I like the body lines. The whole styling was pretty nice to me. You know, you got that T-top look, so you know, it's up there with some fine units.
Fine units, I'll take it. Now we paid $6,600 for this car, just over 100,000 miles. Is that right, Brendan?
Yep. Yep, 107. Yep.
So we're going to pop the hood and learn a little bit about this LT1 350 V8. Now, some things I want to tell you about. The starter, once every like 10 tries, doesn't do anything. It just goes zzz. So is that like indicative of a bad starter? Yeah, okay.
It did it to me when I went to pull it in. It wouldn't start. I had to cycle it a few times, and then it kicked the starter in and worked.
So is that like an issue with the solenoid or something?
The solenoid, yeah, the appendix that comes out and shoots out to actually ignite the starter, usually that goes bad. The contacts internally go bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you replaced a starter on like a 350 Chevy?
Usually the basic, simple, 2 bolts from the bottom, you know, not as tight as some of the new stuff I work on. So.
Cool. And then the other thing you need to know, when you really are driving it in turns, the back end feels pretty jello-y, so I'll be curious if there's something going on with the rear suspension. But let's start with popping the hood, dude.
Yep,
Let's see what we're
check it out.
Now, per usual, Toby, we didn't check any of the fluids.
You didn't check any fluids? Imagine that. Ooh, we're talking hot rod everything, huh? No.
Yeah, dude, look at that, the Ram air intake there.
Well, air cleaner looks pretty nice, actually.
That's good.
Someone might have put a nice fresh one on there before they sold it.
That's probably an aftermarket intake, I'd guess, Edelbrock, right?
Yeah, usually that's an upgraded intake system right there with the fuel rails and all of it, all in one unit.
Totally. Anything you're immediately seeing right off the bat?
You know, there is some aftermarket stuff cobbled onto this thing. I don't know if it has an aftermarket sound system or what, but it's not hooked up or nothing.
Oh, look at that, yeah.
But that's usually goes to the power wire there, but that'll go back usually to the amplifier or something like that they got hidden.
Okay.
How the pop-up headlights work on them.
Should we see?
Shall we see?
Let's give them a little pop.
Well, you never know. Oh, yeah. That's a good thing. Yeah, you don't have no bad motors or nothing like that to actually make them work, so everything seems to be in the right order.
Nice. That's great news. That doesn't look like that should be there.
No, you know what that looks like to me?
Yeah?
An inner tube off a 10-speed bicycle.
Come on, are you serious?
Yeah, definitely.
That is 100% what that is. You got a bicycle inner tube included in the deal
so
here,
I'm not sure if they were trying to get something to stop vibrating and rattle with that piece of rubber. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Or it just ended up in there from, you know, the mysteries of life.
One thing I've quickly learned about these cars is that a lot of stuff is composite. So like the hood is composite. You know, a lot of the fenders, the bumper. They were really going for some advanced weight savings there.
Yeah, they were basically trying to meet in, you know, with some of the Corvettes and try to get that composite and some of that fiberglass type of stuff to get the light weight and all that to save weight, which saves fuel and also gets a lot of horsepower that way, you know, a couple pounds.
You like these small block Chevys overall, Toby?
They're basically pretty bulletproof, these small block Chevys. As long as you don't overheat them and don't run them out of oil, they tend to last a long time.
Okay.
You know, but when you do pump them up and get them a little hot rodded out, you know, you can blow anything up nowadays.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems to run okay. What do you think of that brake fluid there?
Yeah, you know, we'll see. I've seen dirty out of you, but it's got some moisture. You can see some water residue droplets in it. And definitely could be flushed. And then, you know, same with the clutch fluid. It'd probably be a good thing to flush the clutch fluid out because it's got the hydraulic clutch system on it, so it's got a whole extra reservoir here for that.
Gotcha.
But it's just brake fluid as well, but it's for the clutch.
What other fluids we got? Power steering?
Yeah, there should be some. We should probably check the oil. Anyone ever check the oil on this thing?
Yeah, that'd be a good thing. Now this car has a cool feature. We call it the self-oil change feature.
Ah.
Where you just wait enough time and it will change itself.
That's interesting. You don't even have to put a filter on it, you're telling me. We'll see what she looks like. It didn't look terrible, so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, someone probably just changed the oil on this before they sold it to you.
Sweet.
Because it's decently honey looking.
Great news.
Not black, looks like tar, so that's a good thing. Up top here you can see either someone made a big mess when they put oil in it because it is leaking oil, so
yeah, that'd be Brendan.
They're probably adding oil here, and they're kind of adding it on the valve cover here, you know, and they're going missing the hole, dropping down the exhaust manifold, smoking a little bit, but...
Yeah, I wonder who that would be, Brendan.
I'd probably clean that up a little bit, you know, cover my tracks up if I was you.
Before we started filming it again.
You know, that way they don't know it was me, of course. But yeah, I think we should get this thing up on the lift and give it a good check over and see what else you got going on. And
sweet.
See a little bit of rust build up on a few things from up top here, so we'll have to just give it a look-see and see what we got.
Now, Toby, do you think a lot of this has been aftermarket over here, like these electrical connections?
Some of these are going to be factory, actually, and, you know, just basically a junction point they have on a lot of these cars.
Okay.
And the reason why they did these junction points on a lot of these cars is the jump start is really hard to get to sometimes because the power steering reservoir here is, you know, kind of close to the negative and all that, so they put an extra positive jump start point and usually ground somewhere else.
Oh, gotcha.
So, you know, but someone actually put a nice side post, top post in this one.
Oh, look at that.
So you got side posts that hook up to your battery, but you also got top posts, which a lot easier to jump start a car when you have that.
That's pretty cool.
As long as they don't hit the hood, you're good to go.
Now, I also noticed, like you talked about, this is probably aftermarket.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And this is going to be a circuit breaker, so, you know, if it did ground out or short out, it'd blow the circuit breaker on it.
So someone in the 90s was really bumping to some tunes.
Probably had a good 15-inch in the trunk or something.
I love it.
Didn't have much trunk space, but... So, yeah, let's get her up on the lift and kind of see what else is down below and what she's looking like.
So far, feeling pretty good about things.
Your buddy did tell you, huh?
That's what he said.
Usually they have a little dipstick.
He's
so
not a mechanic, but
it's not
he's
hard
a
to check.
mechanical dude.
It says add C and H. So C is cold, H is hot. Add, you better add some. So you just basically put it into where it is, and then you can see it's barely on the tip of the. It's on the add mark, so you definitely need a little splash of some power steering fluid in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably have some we can add for you. Just. Well, excuse me.
It's just leaving a little bit of itself here.
We'll just put that there.
It's marking its territory.
So, you know, it can just suck something up.
Brendan, is that a little gasoline I smell? Toby, what do you think?
Oh, yeah.
I smell.
Yeah, we kind of smelled it on the trip, too, to be honest with you. It wasn't super strong inside the car, thankfully, but I did notice a little bit of a gasoline smell, and there's a lot of oil underneath. It was definitely leaking on the trip where I had to add about a quart, and everyone made sure to point out that I don't know how to pour oil into a vehicle because I spilled it all over the place. But
So half of this is probably you, right? It's not leaking this bad.
maybe not half, but definitely I contributed in some ways, for sure. But I'm curious to know where you think it's leaking from.
I'd say it's probably coming out of the front timing chain cover, personally.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a pretty big job?
Oh, yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. And it looks like some could be coming out of the crankshaft seal, too. You can see a big trail coming down there, so the front crank seal's probably leaking, too.
Is that probably just from it sitting for so long?
Yeah, that and age. You know, it's... Sound like the hood.
Just the lift settling there, about to...
Yeah, you know.
My life flashed before my eyes there for a second.
I just get used to that. Yeah, you got multiple issues on the oil leak side of things, in my opinion. You definitely got the biggest ones up front. You definitely have a few small ones in back here, too. Could be coming out of the back glue main seal there.
Okay.
And there's that starter you guys were asking about, how hard it is to change. It's not the end of the world.
Oh, it's just sitting right there.
Yeah, as long as you get it
pretty
unbolted
nice.
and can snake it around the exhaust and not burn your hands, you'll be fine.
Yeah. That seems pretty easy to get to. Mm-hmm. And these tires, too, they were slowly disintegrating on us on the drive back. We drove it all the way from Maryland, almost 2,000 miles on these tires. I'm surprised they held up as well as they did, to be honest.
Yeah, they look kind of dried out. They got some good dry cracking starting on the sides and a few different spots in the treads, so I'm sure that they've been sitting quite a lot.
Yeah.
So did someone put brakes on this car too?
You know, he didn't say whether he put brakes on it or not. It seems to brake fairly well.
Yeah.
It doesn't squeak or anything.
Because there's a bare brake caliper right there, and it's got the drilled and slotted rotors on it, so that tells me someone upgraded the brakes on this a little bit, and they also put on the back, you got a little bit of an upgraded brake line there, stainless steel.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was probably part of the brake kit.
Sweet.
Yeah. So it should stop a little better than it used to. Looks like
Are those shocks original?
they're looking pretty ancient to me. I can't quite say if they're original personally by looking at them, but yeah, by the looks of it, they've been there a long time. And there's definitely a little bit of leakage coming out of them. You can see just a
even
little
the front
bit.
shocks
Yeah,
too, huh?
just a little bit of seepage leakage.
Okay.
But, we'd have to drive it and see how bouncy it is and clunking any of that when you hit bumps,
Yeah.
clunks, got a little bit of rattles, clunks and roars. Huh.
What? Looks like somebody's hair?
I don't know. That was some kind of fiber of some sort that was wedged in between the sway bar bracketry. That's kind of fishy.
Are these pretty dried out too?
Oh, I'm sure they don't look like fresh, but they're not like split and cracked. That's usually what I'll see first is just big splits and cracks in the rubber. And same with like the control arm bushings and all that stuff.
Okay.
Usually I just take a quick peek at it all, and then that'll tell you how dried out everything is. You'll know pretty quick. And this side, I think, is getting a little bit of lubrication from the oil, so,
It's a self-lubricating car, so it's just lubricating itself all the way. As you drive it, right?
Long enough, you keep the oil leak the way it is, it's going to just start making the bushings decrepit, and they'll start ripping and fall apart into pieces.
Lovely.
Oil's
Okay.
real hard on a lot of the rubber stuff. Same with these rack boots. They're pretty oil soaked. So yeah, I think definitely gonna need some belt on it too. You get a nice crack in the belt right there. Pretty big one. Yeah.
Is that belt fairly easy to change out?
Yeah, that one shouldn't be the end of the world though. Should be pretty simple.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And it looks like someone just put the new water pump assembly on there and a few other pieces on this thing. Looks like an electronic one.
But they didn't put a new belt on it?
Electronic, well, see, because they have a belt here, but there used to be a belt here too. So it looks like to me what they did is they bought what they call an electronic water pump assembly. Oh. So they upgraded it from the pulley, which spins off the belt, the water pump, to the electronic version.
Interesting.
Kind of
Okay.
like all the new cars will have the electronics on them. So someone did a few hot rod things on it.
Well, this is the Comp TA package. Do you think any of these are part of that Comp TA package, or is it just aftermarket stuff?
I think from what I'm seeing is most of it's aftermarket, but I'm sure there are a few items that came with probably some internals in the engine, I'm guessing, and a few other things they bumped up to give you a little more power and stuff.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Gosh, there's even oil all the way back here.
Yeah, it's 70 miles an hour, it'll end up at the rear of the car before you know it.
Hey, it doesn't seem to rattle.
No, just a heat shield on there that's making a little noise, but no, pretty decent actually. No decrepit cat syndrome.
So I think that's a good sign for passing emissions.
That's a good start, is what I like to say. Yeah. You guys never seen any of the information on this car of anything being done, have you?
No, unfortunately, there were no records with it, so I guess
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. The story is the guy that we bought it from an estate sale, and the guy passed away. That was the original owner of this vehicle.
Yeah. So they didn't really know much about none of it.
Yep.
This has got to be one of the most unique features they have on this car.
What is that?
So this basically is the bracing that holds this whole rear differential and pumpkin centered in the car, and the only really strongest thing they could tie it to was all the way up there towards the transmission to hold it all together and keep it straight. So that way when you're out there peeling out, spinning tires, it doesn't chock too much and pull back and forth too much. It holds it more sturdy and stable in there and helps it from kicking every way.
That's why this thing is so fun to do burnouts with. That explains a lot, actually. Yeah, thanks to TFL for allowing me to continually do burnouts in this. I enjoy it. I'm sure once we get the new tires on there, we won't do that quite as much. But I figure these tires are going anyways, so no big deal, right?
Well, they're so dried out, and it's time for them to go anyway. You can see they're getting close to the wear bars. There's little wear bars in every tire, so they're getting close to the wear bars anyway. So it's definitely going to be a good time to get rid of them.
Now, my guess is back here is where we need some work, because I think there's some bushings that are bad somewhere, because it's definitely a bit sway, you know, and when we had some wheels in the back here, it would clunk hard over bumps. It sounded like the body was smacking against this rear axle.
Usually if it is something bottoming out, you can look really good at all the little key components and see if you can find actually a spot like on the exhaust or up higher of where it's actually been hitting. If it, you know, if you get a bunch of weight in it. And you can kind of smell back here it's a little more potent of the fuel, this fuel smell.
I do smell that actually.
Yeah, then up front. So that tells me the leak's probably not going to be up front. It's probably going to be back here somewhere by the fill or some lines or something, because the fuel tank's up here.
Okay.
So that's definitely something to look into.
Wonder if it's like the filler neck or something. Or could it be down here?
Could be anything.
Is that a fuel filter?
Yes, there is. And basically, it's got some residue on it, but I don't smell fuel, and it's so hard to tell because there's all this oil. So I think this is probably just oil we're looking at, and this is the fuel filter. But yeah, I'm guessing to fix that fuel leak, you'd probably have to take out the tank, and I'm guessing there's probably some rotted stuff on top of the tank, or there's a O-ring that can go bad.
And I was told by a buddy of mine that if the body is smacking against the axle on this, it could very likely be the bump stops. I don't know if you know about that or.
Yeah, so every car is going to have a bump stop up on the axle,
sure,
you know, to basically help it from bottoming out. And that's what you're describing as a bottoming out. When it bottoms out, it should hit a bump stop. So a bump stop's going to be this unit up in here. Oh, so you see how it's basically missing?
It's completely gone.
It's decrepit. It's falling apart. And then this side, that's just a piece of metal.
Yeah, it's even worse.
So if you lose shocks and your coils and everything's worn out and won't hold the weight, say you got people in the back seat and some tires in the back, then it's going to be sitting lower than it should. And you hit a big enough bump, it's going to bam, bam. Yeah. And then especially this side being metal to metal. And you can probably look at it and you can see it looks like someone took a little ball peen hammer to that metal piece.
Holy
so
cow.
It's been smacking right here on the top of this axle right here.
Oh, that can't be good for it. I think we should definitely get that done ASAP.
Yeah, so I would definitely probably try to get some new bump stops for it, and then after that, really to fix all the issues of the suspension. 9 out of 10, these coil springs are probably sagging, so you'd probably have to get some new coils to fix it good, and some new shocks, because same thing, these are matching the front shocks and looking pretty old.
Okay.
So that would help a lot. You know?
Makes sense.
Because your sway bar is still intact, so that's the anti-sway. So that's still intact and hooked up, so
nice.
That'll help it a little. But overall, I think, you know, it made it back, you know, from your big trip, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it only wouldn't start on us once on the trip, so that was great.
Well, that's a good day, right?
Yeah.
Only once.
Yeah, only once. And then you just had to be persistent and keep trying to turn it on, and eventually it would click over.
Eventually she gave up?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Once you finally have been like, well, it's not going to start, and then it would start.
I like the tips on the exhaust. What do you think?
Yeah, I think those are factory.
You know why I like them?
Why?
They're thick, and actually they don't make stuff like that like they used to.
Yeah.
You know, instead of a pop can, basically, a little whistle blower on your tip.
Exactly, actually, it's going to hold up over time.
It's actually going to last, yeah. So overall, I think if it was mine, I would definitely probably try to think about some oil leaks if it's going to be kept long term.
Sure.
And then after that, definitely I would start working on some of this back suspension stuff to actually bring it back to life and make it, you know, because when it gets loose on you back here, it can be dangerous. Yeah, you get too sideways and then it starts getting loose on you, then before you know it, you can't straighten it back out. So, you know, I think it would help a lot to go through some of this and grease some of these grease fittings and go through a few different things on it just to bring it back. And
just kind of like a little refresh on it. It's not like it's not like it's just like things are broken on it. It's just all old because it's all like original parts, right?
Yeah, just a lot of old stuff. That's, you know, it was probably driven pretty hard, I'm guessing, and then put away and been sitting a while, and you know, and now you guys are driving it hard again, so it's saying, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah, it needs a little bit of love to get it there.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Toby, for $6,000, you think it's an okay car?
Okay would be the word. $6,000 is quite a fair pretty penny for the amount of oil leaks I'm seeing under here and this rear suspension issue, and you can tell. So I would have said 4 would have been more accurate, but...
But did you know that this is one of only 164 of these ever made for the whole world? Doesn't rarity add some value?
To some people.
Yeah.
Oil leaks have value to some people too.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know.
Well, as always, a huge thank you to Toby over here at German Auto in Boulder, Colorado. Check them out if you need anything done to just about any vehicle. Toby is the man. So we're going to address some of these things that are wrong in this car, get it safe to go do some cool racing, and then we've got some cool videos coming up, Brendan.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this thing out on the track.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.